Our 2 cents.
With Oscar.
Well, here comes the big show. Big show. Anyways, happy Friday. Welcome back once again to Our 2 Cents. This is your host, Oscar, and here we go again with attempting to have a conversation with another attempting to have a conversation with another content creator. Anyhow, it is Friday, August the 27th. It is basically the last Friday of August. How fast has this year gone? It just seems like last year we were in a lockdown. It's crazy times, I'm telling you, with this new stuff coming up and going, and I don't even know where the hell we're going. But anyways, that's not what we're here to be sad about. And to begin with, it is August 27th, and it's one of those beautiful days where you only have two things that this day is national for. Is that how you would say it? See, these are the most arrogant ones. Just because. National Day of Just Because. So if you were planning on doing something, do it just because. Happy National Day of Just Because if you're doing something just because. So happy National Day to you and you and you and whoever else wants it. And the other one is Happy National Post the Crème. Let me get my French accent correct. Le crème, le crème, 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 le crème. There you go. That was good. That was actually good. I gotta say. So today we're gonna be sending my new friend Trent Daley. I hope I said that correct. We've been trying to have to do this for the last 3 weeks, but it just hasn't really been working out for either party, right? Because things come up, and sometimes you get busy with one thing, and then something else comes up, and sometimes you think you're gonna be getting out of work early the whole time, and then they hit you with nope, you gotta stay till later. So no matter what the situation arises, the show must go on. But we gotta work around my regular schedule work hours because it's annoying. It's annoying when you have to stop everything you had planned because your job wanted you to accommodate for them. Because when you applied, you said, yes, I would accommodate to whatever schedule is needed. I'm lucky that they only have one what is it called? One shift for that department that I'm in, because I don't know if I really would like to be switched to nighttime. But you know what? Maybe it would be better to do this, right? But anyways, maybe that's another dilemma that we have to solve at a different time. But for now, let's admit Trent Daley. Oh, I didn't do it. Damn. Look at that. I'm making him wait now. My bad. There you go. Here we go with Trent Daley. Joining. Dun, dun, dun. Here we go again. Another attempt. And seems like this attempt will be successful. Here we go. How you doing?
It was like fourth time's the charm, I guess.
Yeah, third, I would say. Yeah, this is the third time. So that's what I was just saying. That we've been trying to do this for the last 3 weeks, but nothing aligns, But we made it happen today, though, I guess, right?
I'm just trying to adjust the camera here so it's not too crazy.
All right.
Is that all right?
If you could put it a little higher,
Okay, let me see
if
what I
that
can
would
do
be
here.
possible to do.
Okay, I can do that. Just give me 1 second. Let's see if this one can be like too high.
How you been?
Oh, that's
You
gonna
you
be way
you were
too
able to sneak
high.
away from your kids today?
Yeah, luckily. Just give me 1 second here. I'll just grab something to prop this up.
All right, no
Yeah, it's
worries.
been a nice and fun week so far.
Oh, that's good.
you
That's
know,
good.
just
As long as you're having
got
fun, right?
it's like the dad game, the COVID game, and all this stuff in between.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this,
Yeah, you gotta work
this is
around all kinds of things, right?
yeah, let me just get that. That's better.
That's it. Okay, that's good. We'll work with that. Okay, how you doing? Okay, so I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell us who you are, what you do, and all that good jazz. Go ahead. Oh, and go ahead and plug your
Okay.
your TikTok and your Instagrams and your YouTube if you have one.
Okay. Well, my name is Trent Daley. Daley Shananigans on Instagram and TikTok, and I am, an anti-racism activist, I guess you could say, located in Edmonton, Alberta, Amiskwaci, Wisconsin, which is Treaty 6 territory in Canada. So that's like the indigenous name for Edmonton, Alberta.
Okay.
And, a lot of the work I do is addressing Alberta or Canadian politics, as well as speaking on some of the issues that I see where I live.
Right. That's good. That's good. Yeah, you got to put that out to light. Mostly regular people they don't focus on the politics. They focus on like they got to go to work, but recent events that have been happening has led people to start paying more attention to it. And which is good. And with the social media game and all that, it's a lot easy to spread real information as well as misinformation. And
Yeah.
that's the sad part of it.
Well, I mean, you see it on TikTok, right? Like, right now on TikTok, I'm on another commenting ban. This is like, I think the fourth time I've been banned from commenting. But I see people that are putting like literal death threats out towards me and other people on the app, especially it disproportionately affects misogyny affected persons, women. You see some vile things on social media, but like you don't see white supremacists or hateful ideology being targeted to the same degree as people who are speaking out against it. Like
Right.
someone can post a profile picture that is like related to neo-Nazis and they don't get banned. But then someone says, hey, you're a Nazi. And then that comment gets that person banned.
Could let's say the Nazi post, let's just say, could it be seen as you think they see it as a historical fact, I guess, and that's why they're not so quick to ban it, and rather somebody saying it to you or you saying it to somebody that has more of an effect. Like, all right, it's happening now, but this other scenario is history. You think that's why?
Not exactly. Like sometimes perhaps, but like it's also a lot more nuanced. Like there'll be a specific neo-Nazi modern group, like an example being the Proud Boys, the 3%.
Right.
And I've seen their logos on TikTok and other apps. And for whatever reason, you know, there's a general lack of knowledge and awareness about these groups and these ideologies. I mean, you go to the Anti-Defamation League, you go to any anti-racist org that collects this information, like Anti-Racist Canada.
Oh,
You
you're
can
breaking up.
see symbols, you can see articles showing that
Hey Trent,
there's
Trent, hold
a
on. You're breaking up a
history,
little.
this
You're breaking up a
behavior,
lot.
that these symbols are these hateful ideology common on social media. Oh, oh, let me. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there. Is that okay now?
Yeah, now it's better. You had a lag there for a second.
Okay. Probably just my internet is, as if I need anything else. But
Right.
like,
Don't worry. We'll work with it. We'll
but
work with it.
but yeah, like as I was saying though, it's just, I know what those logos are,
Okay.
but it's clear that these social media giants don't look for that. They might have keywords in like the algorithm bot for banning people. So if you say the word Nazi
You're breaking up again.
or another hateful word, they'll this isn't figured into that. Oh no. Oh, that's great. Okay. It must be like a problem with the Wi-Fi, but I don't want to take the Wi-Fi off because that'll probably make it worse.
We're good. We're good. It's working now. Like I said, we'll work with it. Do you think that outrage comes from like people from the people that get outraged are more outspoken, and the people that don't get outraged, they don't speak out as much. And it seems like, say, like we're talking about right now, for example, from the post that we're talking about, maybe the people that criticize you for posting what you post, they're more prone to be more outraged, so that's why they go out of their way and report your post rather than the other group, and they don't really go out of the way to report the post. And you know how the algorithm, I mean, we assume, I should say, the algorithm is intended to throw stuff at you that you interact with more.
Yeah, I think like it's part of like as you said, if you engage with it, you'll see it. So like there's these echo chambers of like that extreme content that we might not even know about because we don't interact with that stuff typically. And like a lot of the time I see it, I might screenshot it or screen cap it, but I block it immediately. Whereas if they see my content, then they are immediately interacting with me. So like, there's a lot of weird things like that. But at the end of the day, I think the social media giants aren't doing enough to address this. And it's created unsafe spaces in the online environment because we're talking about an app that a disproportionately high number of minors use. Mm-hmm. And what if one of these people starts feeding them that content? They go onto the alt-right pipeline, and then that child is now at risk of becoming radicalized into an ideology that is not only harmful, but it's going to alienate them from their peers.
Right. It definitely would. But it is my understanding, like I said right now a little bit ago, that the algorithm usually just goes off of whatever you interact with the most.
Yeah.
And obviously those people are interacting with that type of behavior, so their algorithm is only going to be giving them that. Yeah. As if if I set up my algorithm to just watching videos of people falling, then that's what I was grade. Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah, but that's the scary thing that it's able to in a way mold your thoughts, I guess, right? Because it kind of does. It's a scary.
Well, it's like an echo chamber, right? Like, right. But it's also a ladder, right? Like, let's say you start out and you like watching political debates, and they start out like debates on topics like environmentalism, or maybe it's debates on whether or not we should, tax big banks. But then the political debates then start showing you Ben Shapiro, and then it's a Ben Shapiro debate, and then it shows you Jordan Peterson, and then it shows you someone more extreme to the point where you get to that echo chamber, and that's what scares me about the algorithm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying right now too. That's what's scary because we've seen what's happened. Like at least over here in the U.S. side, in the USA side, we've seen what happened. And most of that radical stuff that's been happening, it's all been led by social media for the most part.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like Portland recently, and then even the seat of power in your country, Washington D.C. That was shown around the world. And for us it was shock. Like in Canada, for the most part, it was shock, and we have those same groups in Canada.
Yeah. Right? I wouldn't see how they wouldn't be there. I mean, they're right next door to each other, like literally. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what we did is like right after that event, we put the Proud Boys on the terror list for Canada. Public Safety Canada listed the Proud Boys as a terrorist entity. So like, obviously, there's a lot of criticism about expanding terrorism legislation because it disproportionately affects marginalized and racialized communities. Mm-hmm. However, in America, there's no legislation to restrict them at all. Excuse me. Like there's nothing. Like they can go where they please and do what they want. They can shoot people or shoot at people in the street.
Right. I think that's even a touchy. That's even scary to get into because I don't want to get banned either for that. Because I'm barely starting to get this running. But anyways, what I'm saying is, I think it's just in the interpretation of the law, how everybody interprets it, and some people feel more entitled to that. That's how it should be, and that's how it always has, and that's how it should that's how it should keep being. And what they're not understanding is like everything is changing. Everything, like all these laws that were set, they were set like more than 100 years ago now, right? And there has to be a revision some way somehow, so that everything adjusts to the new age that we're in.
Well, it's not even a bad thing, right? Like
It's not.
I remember there was a law in Canada at one point that it was illegal to remove bandages in public. And like these
What the?
types of things, some of it's outdated or archaic. And I did an internship in North Carolina, so I know a bit about American law.
Oh, okay.
I interned in the Superior Court in North Carolina. And
Awesome.
some of the stuff that I got to see was like mind blowing for a Canadian, to go down there and see that, like even something like castle laws, we don't have anything equivalent to that.
Let me ask you this. So now that I know that you've been on this side and now you're back in Canada on the Canadian side, I don't know if I should ask this question. Never mind. I was gonna say, like, where would you prefer to be? Obviously, home's home. Like, you can't take that away. But I'm saying, as far as where you are today, do you prefer to be where you are today, or there would be a better opportunity for anything else for you elsewhere?
Basically, in no circumstances at this point in time would I ever consider moving to America to live there. And there's a lot of reasons for that. And I think the biggest one outside of racism, because we still have racism in Canada, it's like a lot of the same issues are in both countries. But the big kicker for me is healthcare. If I was going to move somewhere, I'd want a better system, not a worse system. And that's like trading in a Lamborghini for like a broken down PT Cruiser. Like it's not at all like a system that's accessible or affordable. And Canada's healthcare system is not perfect. It's not, but it's miles and miles ahead of the American one. And there's better socialized healthcare in the world. But if I lived in America every day, I'd be worried about what I'm doing and where I'm going and how I'm living my life, because an accident can bankrupt you.
You know what? You're definitely right, but I'm going to give you a little bit of my situation. I'm not in a situation where I can pay for insurance for all my family, but my kids do have insurance, and it's from the state.
Mm-hmm.
And as far as me taking them to the doctor, their checkups, dentists, and everything, I swear, I don't. That's what I'm not understanding when people say what you just said, that that we don't have good healthcare system here. It's not perfect by far, but my kids do get to go to the dentist, their regular checkups, anything they need, it's paid for. I don't have to pay anything. So when people say that, I'm like,
no, absolutely.
What's that about? What does that mean?
Well, how much do you pay in insurance though?
For my insurance, I want to say about they take it out every week, so it's about $65 a week for myself. But as far as my kids, they are taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Well, because like for us to access those healthcare services, like it comes out of our income tax, right? So like we don't have to worry about like an insurance model, and the taxes aren't that bad, because I can still live my life and it's never affected me at all in any job I've ever had. And the thing is that regardless of whether you're at the top or at the bottom, you never have to worry about access to care. Like I posted a TikTok that was very illuminating, and I asked the question to Americans how much it costs them to have a baby, regardless of whether or not they have insurance or not. And typically, the premiums or the payments were like lowball that I was seeing if you had a good insurance plan, unless you were on military. Military would be free, but if you had a good insurance plan, you'd be paying around $3,000 to $10,000 to have a child.
But that's another
in Canada,
one.
it's $0.
But that's another one that I'm going to tell you about. Both my kids have been born, and I have not paid anything out of my pocket. I mean, obviously taxes, I do pay taxes, but nothing out of I got a bill with the price and everything, but everything it was paid by
Mhm.
it's a Medical. Everything was paid by Medical. So again, when people say that, that's what I'm confusing. Like I'm not understanding. I feel like my kids were taken care of when they were born, and I was fortunate, and I love saying that because obviously I'm fortunate to even be doing what I'm doing, but I was fortunate
Mhm.
to not have had to pay anything out of pocket. I don't know of any case that anybody with Medi-Cal has had to pay anything out of pocket.
Well, I think the scary thing is like if you do have a good insurance plan in America, then you're living a very wonderful life in terms of healthcare. Like you get access to the same quality care that you probably have in other countries. But
Right.
like the issue becomes if something happens to you and you lose your job, or if there's a shift in the market, or if there's a change to your insurance plan, or if something happens to you when you're out of state or in a city where you're going to a hospital that's not in your network, if one of those problems happen, like what degree of coverage will you have? And for many, many Americans, that coverage is almost nil.
I wouldn't say zero because there is programs that we can apply
Yeah.
for. I mean, obviously they'll dig into your finances and all that, and at the end of the day,
Mm-hmm.
they'll tell you you qualify for so much and so much, and you take care of the rest. There is those cases, but again, I'm saying I'm fortunate enough to nobody in my immediate family to have gotten sick to where we have to put up the house for for to pay for it.
Mm-hmm.
I've been fortunate enough for that. But as far as childbirth, nothing came out of my pocket. As far as child
Yeah.
regular checkups or anything like that, nothing comes out of my pocket. Obviously, let's not forget about taxes. So in a way, it kind of does, but it's not. It's not as much as like you sounded like you made it sound right now like, oh, nobody gets insurance over there for free. But I'm telling you different. We do.
No, well, I mean, it's one of those things like if you get it through like the Affordable Care Act or if you get it through an employer, those are good programs.
Mm-hmm.
But like what I'm saying is like if, for example, your company went bankrupt or your job no longer
Okay.
existed or you became disabled, like let's say you were injured and disabled, that job is not going to keep you on. So that insurance plan will have a timeout. So it's a problem that while
Yeah.
you're on it, you're great. But if
Okay.
something were to happen that would jeopardize that insurance plan, then that life is no longer accessible to whomever you are and whoever your dependents are. And that is something that in many other systems would never occur. And that's something that, it's sad when people don't have access to that good job because think about the
Yeah.
number of single mothers working part-time jobs where they don't have any insurance, they don't have any benefits at all. Like if you work at Walmart or McDonald's, and it doesn't mean you're not working hard. You could be a single mother or a student, but you don't have access to that. And it's terrifying. I mean, even thinking about pharma and access, like the cost of getting a vaccine for those that are on part time, or for me, I'm on Vyvanse for ADHD,
Mm-hmm.
and I think like with my insurance, because like we have pharma insurance, right? And for me, it's like $24 a month. And what I was hearing from people in other places, many states, even with insurance, you'd be looking at bills in the hundreds. And everything adds up. And the American system is the most costly medical system in the world, which is crazy.
Yeah, it's definitely expensive. I'm not gonna say it's not because that I agree, it is expensive. But just so you know, for like the last 5 minutes or so, you've been like kind of glitching, but I can still hear you fine. So we'll just I'll just work with that with the video like that. So no
Just
worries.
giving you a hard time with the tech, eh?
So yeah, just with the video though, no worries. Yeah, but I agree, but that's why that's what I don't like about it. That my job is attached to my health care. So if I were to either switch
Mhm.
jobs,
Yeah.
now I got to switch insurance or find a new insurance if
Yeah, and
I'm
that
not getting a job. But
and
here,
and that's a consideration, right?
yeah, here's the thing though, and I go back again. Then, but I could go and apply for Medi-Cal. Now, I personally, because my situation here in the U.S., I only have a work permit now. I can't come in and out. I wasn't born here.
Hmm.
I lost my train of thought. Jesus Christ, my bad. I was doing so well not losing my
No,
train
no,
of thought.
no.
What was I saying? I'm
But like
sorry.
regarding like switching jobs.
Yeah, if
Yeah,
I
but what's switching jobs?
yeah, insurance is attached to it. Anyways, it won't come back. It'll come back probably later. But yeah, it's a scary thing not to. Oh, I was saying. Oh yeah, that I could go apply for Medi-Cal. That's what they offer here. But for me, it wouldn't cover everything. It would only cover a certain amounts. But for
Hmm.
my kids, like I said earlier, it covers everything for them.
Yeah.
So
But I mean, like even for you though, like I believe that you should have the same access to care that your kids do. Like
100%.
because like think about it this way, like if you don't have to worry, like if when you enter a doctor's office, be it family physician, a specialist, ER, if you don't even have to take out your wallet or your insurance card, you just go through the process, like that would encourage more Americans to access healthcare. And
Yeah.
instead of putting something off, like what if you could get that care, that treatment, without having to worry? Because the stress involved and the barriers of people not even wanting to go because of those potential bills, that's
Mm-hmm.
leading a lot of people to facing a very unfortunate reality that, they're gambling with their health. And
Yeah.
nobody should have to do that.
Yeah. That's true. But you know what people don't promote a lot, like, and often is like taking care of your health as well, like
Hmm.
exercising. I used to exercise a lot, but I've been lagging a lot because I've been getting lazy. But, but that's not part of the conversation. Not me. Just kidding. Um, so yeah, it's a we don't promote being healthy as much as we do going to the doctor because people want to anything they feel wrong. Okay, go to the doctor. Obviously, let's just clarify it. If you feel anything wrong with you that is not normal, you should definitely go to the doctor. Yeah, but it's amazing to me that we in all this time of as far as capitalism and all as far as what we have advanced, they haven't figured out a way to capitalize on helping everybody, right? Because I feel my thought is if you have a healthy population, then you'll have a healthy source of income for your state, I guess, right? But I guess they don't see it that way. I guess they only see the profits and where they can get more.
Well, that's it, right? Is that under the capitalist model and with lobbyists in government and healthcare, I mean, like the thing is that putting people first isn't the goal, it's profit. And if there's more profit in you being unwell or you not having access to quality of life, then that's what it's going to be. And unfortunately for many, that's the reality that they face. And it's not right. And there are things that we need to look at, especially coming out of a global pandemic, about how do we make things equitable? How do we not go back to the status quo? Like, what can we do better? How do we prevent this from happening again?
Yeah, those are some great questions to be asking whoever is in charge, But the sad truth of it is I think once they figure everybody's vaccinated and they figure that everything goes back to normal, I think it's just going to be business as usual and everybody's just going to forget about it.
Well, I think it comes down to this new generation, the Gen Z and the folks that got to grow up, in this chaos. The people who didn't get a grad ceremony or they didn't get those milestones that millennials and up did.
Yeah.
They're now questioning, why didn't I get that same standard and what went wrong? And they're looking at it in ways that I don't think we had to
Mm-hmm.
growing up. And I think that's going to be an interesting thing to see how that develops. And I hope that it's going to push things in a positive direction.
Well, for as far as I could, as far as I can see it, and I'm no expert at it. I think everybody's heart with whatever policy or whatever they believe they're trying to push onto people. I think their place is in I mean, their heart is in the right place, and because ultimately we all want equality for everybody and everybody to have the same opportunities and accessibility to a good health care for everybody, right? I think that's the
I
most
mean,
important thing.
I think most people, be it like as you said, I think the intentions there and it's about impact. But at the end of the day, I think, especially if people can have dialogues, a lot of people have the same goals for their communities, and we just need to make sure we're addressing harm and pushing things in the right way and making sure we're supporting people, because there's a lot of people out there that want a better world, and we just have to facilitate that.
Right, of course, of course. I mean, not all of us started at the same starting point, and that's the hardest
No.
part of it. Yeah, some of us have it easier than others, and for 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 that, the thought of the struggle scares everybody. Yeah. What do you plan on doing for the future with your social media? Do you plan on doing YouTube with this type of talk, or because I mean I find it
Um,
interesting. I think a lot of people would find it interesting.
well, when I started out, I had no idea that my account would grow to where it did. Um, I had no idea people had an appetite for the stuff that I speak on. And a lot of the time, it's me putting out content that I think is funny,
Mm-hmm.
making fun of Canadian politicians or showing that America and Canada aren't so different. It's not this mystical paradise in the snow. It's not a happy go lucky, I say sorry a lot kind of place. You know, it's, America and Canada have lots of dark similarities and a lot of the same systemic issues. And people like that. They like learning about it. They like confronting it and trying to make it better. So, I think I might get banned from TikTok just because, it's hard to post this stuff without pissing people off. But, it needs to be said. And, if they ban me, I'll just make another account. But, so far it's been pretty fun. And because TikTok has been comment banning me a lot, I've been looking at other platforms. We're playing with like a satirical news kind of YouTube
Oh, okay.
to poke fun of, especially because there's a Canadian election going on. So it's
Oh,
a
okay.
high time for content.
Is that crazy enough right now, or it's starting to get
Well,
crazy?
a lot of people are very angry because there's a lot of people that don't want an election right now as Delta cases are rising. And, there's also, there's been a lot of political discontent across the country. A lot of people don't feel the government has their best interests, or a lot of people are looking to shift their votes. So, there's a lot of political parties campaigning on promises of big to small, and there's some of that populism that you saw in the U.S. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. I know who I don't like.
Right. All right. Well, that's good. As long as you already know you already have been informed and made your decision. That's good. That's good. That's crazy though. It's gonna be crazy to see how you guys handle your election because we made I don't even know what we did. We made a whole circus out of it. I think it was just something that it shouldn't have gone that way. If the people that were running it would have been matured enough, but I guess.
Well, everybody I know was watching your election. That's the thing. Like, I think Americans don't get it. Like everybody in the world watches your elections because they're like, oh, fuck, what's going to happen to us now if this guy gets elected? Because it affects the whole world because of, both US imperialism and the US market is that whomever your president is, your policies, they affect all of our other countries. Like for Canada, 50% of our trade goes to America. So like a lot of these issues, where we were all watching your election for the duration of the election. We were watching as states flip from one color to another. We were watching the votes get checked. A lot of us were refreshing, posting on Facebook about it, having watch parties, but I guarantee you most Americans don't give a shit about Canadian politics.
Um, I was gonna ask that. What's the percentage of people that actually from this side of the line that pay attention to whatever's happening up there? Right. I don't think it's many, and I think we should too, because we should take it as an example of what not to do, or then what could be done. But I don't think Americans were as Americans we're good at it. You know.
Well, it's interesting. Like when I first started out, like 90% of my followers were Canadian, but Americans, understandably, because I speak on some American issues and because they're like I compare where I live to America a lot. So I think like 34% of my following now is Americans,
Oh,
and
nice.
some of them really enjoy my content, and they're starting to pinpoint some of the issues that I speak about. Before, they probably couldn't have pointed out where I live on a map, and now they're like, "Hey, it's the Albertan guy."
That's how I remembered you. I'm like, I got to talk to the Alberta guy. No, I'm just kidding. I remember your name was Trent. Excuse me. Yeah, but my wonder is how is everything that's going on today in 10 years? I'm just waiting for documentaries and all the documents that get released and all that to be to be come out to light. Just somebody's gonna read them, and I'm pretty sure we'll be there paying attention to know exactly what had happened on this time. But by that time, what could we do?
Well, I think there's going to be a lot of time for reflection. And,
Definitely, yes.
like you said, 10 years when there's textbooks out, I think it'll be really interesting. Those Thanksgiving tables, those Christmas gatherings, those big family events, when they look and they see which side their family members were on, you know, which side, what, maybe they hid all their Trump hats or their Proud Boys, golf shirts, whatever. Maybe they'll hide those. Maybe it'll be part of the family dark history. It'll be interesting to see how people react to this kind of stuff because, it's, a lot of people are seeing a very short-term rage, but they're missing the big picture. And, we look at some protests, that happened 50 years ago with a very black and white kind of look. So I hope that when they're looking back at us, it'll be interesting to see how things go.
Yeah, it definitely will. You know what I was thinking about right now? Um, we kind of we touched a little bit about on the Nazis, right? Did you know that in Argentina there's like a town that's basically full of Nazis,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast where they were saying that a lot of the stuff of the memorabilia that they have, they cherish it. They think it's very valuable to them, and they have a lot of those stuff framed on their wall. And since you said about the Proud Boys and they might got rid of their stuff, I'm pretty sure there'll be a group of people that will have all that stuff framed on their wall because they actually believe in it and they still will believe in it at the time.
Some definitely, and especially, for those Nazis that did move to Argentina, they went with a lot of money. I'm sure they made a lot of communities very happy when they're like, "Hey, look, we're going to fund this," and that's going to be something you're going to see too. Is that some of these things that we revile or we look at with distaste might be a vintage item someday,
Yeah.
and I mean, like this stuff is all going to be part of history, and this is something that it's a very unique time because we have a lot of big events happening, and it seems like they're happening faster and faster than we can react to.
Yeah. Do you think it's because? Do you think we're noticing it more because of social media, or has this type of events has always happened? Because it's just
Yes, I think yes and no. Like social media is a huge part of it
for sure.
because we're recording more, we're seeing more. Normal people can record more and see more. And it's not just that, but it's also the levels of inequality and wage inequality have risen. Back 70 years ago, what you could get on a salary compared to now is vastly different. And a lot of people are talking about that. They're talking about how much they make and they're asking other people how much they make. And you're also seeing, environmental changes. You're seeing an increasingly global world, a localized world where people here are skyping people and doing business with people halfway around the world where a flight doesn't take nearly as long. So the world is changing really fast and we're seeing a lot of cultural shifts with that.
Mm. Yeah, the world is definitely changing. We're seeing things that we only thought, at least when I was a kid, that it was only things that could be done in movies, right? Let's not go too far. Like the watch, the iPhone watch, the Samsung watch, and all those watches. Those were only what the Power Rangers. That's what we thought it was, right? But the world is changing, and like I said earlier, a lot of the laws and legislations in there and all of the bills, I think some of them do definitely need to be revised because, like we said, everything has changed and it needs to be updated. I think. I mean, but that's just what I think.
Well, I mean, look at your experience. Your experience is different than many Americans and people like me. I grew up in like rural Canada in a white home. And, I'm a Muslim now, but I'm still white. And you don't have that experience. You have a different one. And like you said, you don't even have American citizenship.
Yeah.
So some of like the experiences that you have, other people can't understand. And
Yeah.
for me, I was recently doing some research and reading some policy on like how difficult it is both to get American citizenship and also to get rid of it. If you wanted to leave America and you wanted to renounce your citizenship, there's a cost attached to it. So it's funny when people say just leave if you don't like it, because it's not always accessible to leave, you know, and things like that.
What
Like
do you
to be a
mean?
Canadian citizen,
Like
yeah, you have to pay to renounce it.
I know what renounce means, but as a non-citizen, I could literally just walk out and not have to pay anything. But what do you mean that you can't renounce? Yeah, renounce it. You can obviously.
So like if you hold American citizenship, if you hold it and then you want to move to another country, to become a Canadian citizen or another citizen, some countries won't allow dual. Canada allows
Uh,
dual with America, but there's many countries that won't allow dual at all. So
okay.
to actually renounce it, there's a cost attached, and because if you can't get citizenship in another country, eventually you'll have to go return to your place of origin unless you'll violate a law. So there's a lot of barriers here for, how can you leave or how can you go, how can you acquire citizenship, because that citizenship, whether it be in America or elsewhere, is a layer of protection. And, that's a layer of privilege too.
Is it possible to be a nomad?
Not always.
No, but I mean, like say you renounce your citizenship because you were going to go to another country, but they denied it. So now you don't have citizenship. Is that even possible?
There are people that are stateless, right? There are people that are stateless, but
How
usually
does that
that's
work?
not a very good, it's not a good place to be, because when you're stateless, how can you enter an airport when you don't have a passport recognized by any nation?
Or an
How can
ID?
you access other countries? Because even if you go by port or you go by land, how do you get in, right? So, these are
Let me tell you,
considerations.
there's a lot of people singing in without it.
Well, I mean, there's ways to get in, but think about enforcement in the States too. If you get caught,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot of things associated.
yeah,
So,
definitely, yes.
I think that, we need to look at how we can make that easier on people.
You know what's crazy? I wonder how all that situation of you having to be a citizen or having to have a visa, how that's gonna go if everything keeps changing as far as say places that don't get no rain now they're getting flooded. So now people can't live there because that place is flooded. So now people have to migrate to different places. And now say a whole country has to leave their place where they live. So now how's that gonna work?
Well, according to Ben Shapiro, you should just sell your home before the flood happens.
Well, that's a great idea if you figure out when it's gonna happen, right? So
Well, I mean, like, if we knew a major event was happening, would that not like absolutely total the property value, right?
yeah,
So what you said is very valid. We're going to have potentially, if the temperatures keep rising, because you know even going up by one degree is a big difference in terms of global climate change because of wind patterns and climate patterns, and we could be looking at environmental refugees
yeah.
and coastlines that are affected, islands, and that is a reality that is not going to be pleasant, especially in a world where refugees and land issues are already such hot topics, controversial, and often negative for refugees.
Yeah, that's what I wonder. And a lot of the politics that push the don't let anybody in are the same ones that are pushing the other things that are making the planet hotter or making it colder. Whatever wherever you are, it's gonna have an effect.
Well, I mean, it's not so different from refugees from war zones. The same people that the Western nations, the G10 nations, the same ones that don't want to let refugees in are the ones actively engaged in foreign intervention across the world and absolutely demolishing the countries where people are coming from. And when people are like, well, why did you immigrate here in the first place, referring to Canada or America? Well, where else can you go to get a quality of life like we have here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because of whether it be financial exploitation or war. And, this is something we need to change. If we don't want refugees, stop blowing up other countries. If you don't want refugees, stop restricting their trade. Like, we need to make the world a better place, or we need to accept the fact that we're going to be displacing people.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest pill to swallow right there. Like, stop doing this to certain places. But you know what? Here's the thing, though. Every time I say that, I always think, but if whatever was done over there wasn't, but it has nothing to do, right? Because mainly it's just capitalist things, just trying to make money out of everything. But again, it goes back. Would I have the quality of life that I have now if they weren't doing what they did, or they didn't do what they've done? Would we be living the same quality of life, or would we be in the same struggle that say everybody else does? I'm talking as far as the opportunities that we're fortunate to have. We're here that I'm where we are.
Personally, like, it comes down to, like, when, for example, and, like, let's talk about 9/11. The nations that were invaded post 9/11, but none of those nations, none of those governments were directly responsible for 9/11, and we know that now. That's a historical fact, right? And yet they invaded anyway, and they cited reasons like weapons of mass destruction, which were never found. There was no evidence of. They cited all these reasons, but the reason was the military-industrial complex.
Yes.
Because companies that made weapons, that supplied the military, needed to make a profit, and this was a convenient way to do so. And I think there's other ways for those companies to profit that don't mean destroying another nation. Like, even if, maybe the financial crash with the housing market might have hit harder, but we got out of it. But should we do that on foreign intervention? Absolutely not. This is not the way. I mean, if your company cannot make a profit without exploiting people in overseas by having, a factory that is a sweatshop that treats people like human garbage, you're not profiting off of your product. Your product isn't profitable. What you're using to profit is hurting people, and that's the thing. There's many people on TikTok that say it far better than me. And we need to look at creating a sustainable way of life in a global world. And if that means some people can't have 3 mega yachts, then so be it.
Yeah, you know what? Those yachts that you can park your yacht in it, those things. That's a whole different level of wealth right there. I admire those people that can acquire that. It's a love-hate relationship. So I haven't, in a way, I'd admire them, but in another way, I'm like, but you had to step over so many people and do so much wrong in order to be where you are, because you cannot have that much money without having to step over somebody.
It requires exploitation, and I saw a stat that was, like, pretty telling, and, like, you can admire them, but, like, at the same time, it's a facade, because over 43% of billionaires accumulated an inheritance that was a fortune already, and then they were able to magnify that. So that's not hard work. That's circumstance. And sure, maybe they were successful in their business dealings, but they had a huge start. They had a small loan of $1 million or something to start their life. And small. And a lot of the tax proposals I've seen from democratic socialists or extreme left or whatever you want to call it, a lot of the tax proposals don't reduce the amount of billionaires.
Right.
They don't.
Do you have the same feeling towards, say, that person that had the $500,000 to get started, let's say, or the $2 million, right, to get started? Do you have the same feeling from that person towards another person that actually started, like, I don't know, they were probably born in where they started at the end of the starting line. They weren't even at the beginning of the starting line. They were just at the end, where they started with nothing and they managed to acquire a certain amount of wealth. See, those people, when I say I admire those people, those are the people that I say I admire, because I find it impressive and amazing that they can that they can put in the work and get to a level of wealth that they thought it wasn't reachable to them. Those people I admire, but those people, the other ones that got, like I said, the 2 million to begin with, those people I'm like, shit, you don't even deserve it to say, like, to give you any props, because you started at the way ahead of everybody. You got a 15-minute
Mhm.
head start.
Well, it's one of those things that, whether you inherited a massive fortune or whether you worked the American dream out of nothing, you know, the thing is when you get to a certain wealth level, if you're a billionaire that's, accumulating wealth in the way that we're seeing today where, with pandemic profiteers, when you get to a certain point, it doesn't really matter where you started. It matters how many people you exploited along the way.
Mm.
And, to me, when you've got to that point where in order for you to have that mega yacht or that success story, you had to crush the dreams of so many others unnecessarily. It's disheartening and it's evil because how many people die rationing their insulin that never got that chance? It's not that they didn't work hard, it's
Yeah.
that they just didn't have that lucky break.
Yeah. Isn't insulin just water and sugar basically, and they ramped it up to like a crazy high price?
Well, in America, they did ramp it up to an oh, froze for a second, but
It did.
um,
We're good.
okay, is it working?
No, we're good. We're
Okay,
good. Yeah,
it's
yeah.
getting better.
It
But yeah,
felt
like
it felt like an awkward second though, because you stayed quiet for too long.
yeah, but like as you said, like insulin was rendered unaffordable, right?
Hmm.
And like when you make something that is necessary for that person to survive unaffordable, then that person, no matter how hard they work, how many hours they put in, they will never have that break, right? Like
Yeah.
when so many of us are getting credit cards and cell phone bills and health bills that add up to a perpetual, you're going to be stuck renting for the rest of your life. You don't get to build equity like while somebody else is making money while they sleep, which isn't working. And there's the way that we're creating this image, it's an inaccessible image for many, uh, when the value is on the accumulation of wealth and not how you get there, then you
Hmm.
get so many people that are doing, very dubious and questionable things to accumulate that wealth on the backs of other people. Because if your apartment floods and they cheap out on how much they give you back, that what if your laptop for work was in there, you had a file, then you'd lose your job. There's so many factors of what if that one situation happens to you, then what do you do?
Then we go back to losing your health insurance because you didn't have a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a really good article I read a while ago, and it talked about how if you have land, you have wealth. Because you hear an argument from farmers or from ranchers that, oh, I'm a rancher, but I'm not rich. But that rancher with that generational wealth, especially depending on when their family first accumulated that land, you know, if their kid gets sick
Right.
with cancer,
Right.
they can break up those parcels.
Mm.
But if my kid gets sick and I have to be at the hospital every day, there's a good chance that I might lose my job and all the transit and the care and staying up late at night, you know. So when you have generational wealth of some kind, be it land or elsewise, you're in a position that very few people get to be in. And we need to have these conversations about how we protect people from that one bad day that leads to ruin, because that's a reality that too many people have to face. And,
Right.
one bad day, like I got hit by a car recently and like luckily insurance covered it and my injuries were okay. But what if I was disabled from that?
Hmm.
I'd have to find a job willing to accommodate that disability. And so few jobs do.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is my understanding over here that if you lose a limb and you can't work, it is my understanding that you do get some sort of money from the state.
Yeah.
Mind you, it obviously is probably not enough to live off of, but
Well, it varies by state. And, like for me, for soft tissue injuries, I got a cash payout that wasn't too bad. And if you had severe injuries, you would have a higher amount. But whether or not that's enough to live on a lifetime or to accommodate for the sudden new costs of disability, you know,
Mm.
That kind of ties into what we're discussing is like, how do we make sure that the scales aren't rigged for somebody because their starting point was so different?
Right. Yeah. It it's a hard thing, because we at least for me, I wish that everybody had the same opportunity. Well, I mean, here when I say that, I'm like, no, I feel like everybody has the same opportunities. But like I said earlier, not everybody starts at the same starting point. But also, a lot of us get content to stay in the situation that we are. Like we found a job and it pays the bills for now. We're not thinking about tomorrow, and
Hmm.
that's a big mistake that we make in our part too. I think, but again, there's other people that don't have the time because they spend a lot of the time in their one job, so it's harder for them to find a passion or to find something that'll get them out of the situation that they could, and put themselves in a better situation.
Yeah.
So it's hard because in a way, I believe that we do it to ourselves, and the state just comes right behind and just starts kicking you when you're down.
Well, I mean, like it's kind of cause and effect, but at the same time, I mean, where do you go back in time to determine the problem? Because if you want to say that you should have worked harder or you should have made better informed choices, then was it not the state's responsibility to ensure that we understood those choices before we made them? That in our
Yes.
primary education, they focused on how to do our taxes so that we would never get slapped with tax avoidance, or they made sure that we knew how realistic it was to go to certain career paths because of the accessibility of cost, or how to teach kids that scholarships are invaluable, or how to teach kids about trades aren't actually a bad thing, and trades
Mm-hmm.
can be a very lifelong fulfilling career, or having those conversations, because I didn't have those in my primary education. A lot of these questions and a lot of these issues I learned in my secondary education, which so few people get to access.
Mm. Nice. Yeah, but at least you learned it some way somehow. As far as taxes, for me, in my experience, I had to get out there and learn it myself because we're supposed to take a half of a school year of economics, but all they
Mhm.
teach you about is inflation and percent. I don't even remember exactly what they taught us, but I could tell you one thing that they didn't teach us. It was about taxes. I don't remember
Yeah,
them ever.
filing.
Yeah, I don't remember ever them telling me in that class. Now I have a memory of a couple of teachers do telling me, but like just like a regular conversation like we're having right now. Like they mentioned things that we would have to do when we became
Yeah.
adults. But as far
Well,
as
let me ask you this.
yes,
Let me ask you this. Have you ever made a mistake filing your taxes? Ever?
I've been fortunate. No, no.
See,
At first, because
in
I
my case,
because I used to pay for somebody to do them for me.
yeah.
That's why.
Well, in my case, I made a mistake once because I have a program where I do my taxes myself, but I
Okay.
made a mistake 1 year because I just missed one line, and um, that line ended up being a costly one because then they came after me, like Canadian Revenue Agency, where they're like, "Hey, you misreported some income," and then I had to pay them $1,200, which is fine. Like I was able to do it. I went into a little bit of debt and then I had to pay that off. But
Mhm.
the thing is, it's like, wouldn't it be nice to have had a good foundation to build off of in early in your life? And this is kind of the questions, like the system needs to do a better job of preparing people if it wants to also levy the personal responsibility on people,
I
because
agree with you.
it's
Yes,
you can't have it both ways.
I agree with you. Yes, but I've also I'm gonna fall back and say also our parents should have been like, "Hey, check this out. This is what you got to do." At least in my case, it wasn't like that, and I wish it would have,
Yeah.
But it's like I go back and maybe if they would have taught me that, maybe I would have messed up somewhere along the line. I don't know. I'm just trying to justify them. I'm just saying. Anyways, but yeah, it's a scary thing to think that their interest is not on helping you succeed. Their interest is on just having you there for a profit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like at the end of the day, they want good little workers. We are taught to show up to class on time and show up to our jobs on time. We're taught to dot the I's, cross the T's. But when at your job, they can replace you before they post the obituary, before it's even in the paper, or before it's even posted on social media, they've already got a replacement for your job, like, and that's like, are you valued and are you safe? Like, is your employment a position that gives you access to that healthcare, to that dignity, to that ability to chase your hobbies and to not have to worry about very vicious long work weeks where, you think that like an hour to yourself is okay. Like, we need to think about how other people can live their lives without having to be perpetually in this stress of work. And if I lose my job, if I don't keep my productivity up, then everything's gone.
Yeah.
Like if one bad day means missing a payment and being houseless, like these are considerations I don't think it's fair for people to have to make. We should be able to have people that it's okay to have a hobby like what we're doing now, to talk and to learn about the world, to create and look at art and to do things that build our culture, to build our society in a better way without just that perpetual cycle.
Yeah, and to unite everybody, right? Yes.
Well, that would be the goal.
Definitely, definitely. And with that being said, Trent, we'll finish it with that because that was great. I like that. I appreciate your time. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I really enjoyed my time, and I wish in the future to have another conversation with you. So anytime you're free, shoot me an email, and you're gonna have my email now.
Well, absolutely, and we'll get it in at least 4 tries. But I appreciated your patience and the technical hiccups. But hopefully, I can amend that for future conversations. But I appreciated you having.
It was great. It was great. And again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to have this conversation with you. I really appreciate your time. Thank you very much.
But take care and enjoy the weather down south.
Oh, it's a little. You know what? I think it's weird right now because it shouldn't be as cold as it is in the morning. I think it's starting to get a
Well,
little chillier.
I live in a place that's heading to minus 40 degrees Celsius, which is the same in both Fahrenheit and Celsius. Minus 40 is a cold, cold temperature, man.
And I'm over here worried about 65 degrees. Jesus Christ.
But you take care, man.
You do as well. Before you go ahead and plug your TikToks again and all your social medias, please.
Well, Instagram and TikTok are Daley Shananigans, which is Daley, and then Shenanigans. That's the main thing I'm pushing right now. I'm welcome to conversations. DMs are always open. My Q&A is up. So, if Americans want to come at me with some tough questions, have at her.
Let's do it. All right. Thank you very much again, and have a good one, man. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Take care.
All right. Well, again, ladies and gentlemen, I always have so much fun with these conversations, seeing other people's perspective and seeing how they think. It's interesting. But that being said, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary folk, say hello to my friend Trent Daleyshananigans on TikTok, Instagram, and all that good jazz. I appreciate his time for giving me the opportunity to have a great conversation with him. And, he's a great person to talk to. And we're going to learn a lot of stuff, that needs to be learned. But anyways, I'm trying to close it. That's why I'm trying to make time, but I'm not being successful at it. I hate that I'm not successful at it. That was not it. I'm still here. Haven't gone anywhere. I'm right here, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary folk. I'm trying to close this out. Anyways, please subscribe. Check out my website before you go. Hey, hold your thought. Check out my website. It is up now, and I am trying to make that thing pop, so I'm trying to get it better at it. But I can't even do this. Oh my goodness. Hey, I did it. I did it. All right, check out my website. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's right there in the link. Everything's in the bio. It's Oscar. Check out and subscribe to the YouTube, please. It means the world to me, and it costs, I would say it costs nothing to you. But anyways, that's that. And thank you very much. If I'm able to close this, I'll be able to say my actual goodbyes to you, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary folk. Have yourself a lovely weekend and enjoy your time. And I'm going to try not to scream in your ears again. So, goodbye.